time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure, so let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Packer Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight. A little wet, a little warm, but things are starting to cool off a little bit. Hopefully, we are now less than 60 days away from bow season. We're less than 30 days away from early goose season.
Absolutely. Here in Michigan, early goose season starts September 1st, and then October 1st, the bow hunting season starts. And I know. You said where'd the year go?
Yeah.
We are fast approaching fall.
2023 is just peeking around the corner. So,
well, there's that, and there's, the football training camps are all starting.
Yeah.
So all the fall sports are starting to kick on. So
here it is.
Here we go.
Well, I tell you what, speaking of here we go, let's get into it tonight, and let's talk about the people who support us.
Absolutely. How about we start with Buck Baits? I tell you what, folks, if you haven't been down to the brick and mortar store down in Sterling Heights at 15 and Dodge Park, make it a point to stop in at Deer Camp and see Julie over there at Deer Camp. And while you're there, you can check out the Buck Baits lineup they have there. And if you go visit their website at buckbaits.com, remember to use the promo code UNJ20 and you'll get 20% off order. Easy cuts. I tell you what, they come in handy. Just about anything you want to cut with, man, use the Easy Cuts. We do. And if you want 15% off your order, if you go to easycutproducts.com, use the promo code UNJ15 off, you will get 15% off your order there. We talked to Lincoln last week. He is a busy guy, so if you want to get your Packer Max and get $25 off your order there, use the promo code UNJ25 at packermax.com. Any time of the year is a good time of the year to go visit the Island Armory.
Yes, it is.
And check out their selection at their website of guns and ammo that they have. And I tell you what, if you go visit the website, theislandarmory.com, and use the promo code UNJ10, you get 10% off your order. We just talked about it real quick. Early goose season, deer season. If you're out going to go after some yotes, why not go check out jpogamecalls.com and use the promo code UNJ10, and you'll get 10% off your order. Big shout out to Deer Camp Coffee. They won first place in the Southeast Michigan Channel 4, the local TV station, has a contest where they got different categories. And Deer Camp was under the coffee selection, coffee shops, and they were voted first place winner. It just came out like 30 minutes ago.
All right.
And they are first place winners here in Southeast Michigan. And if you want to get a great discount on their coffee, go over to deercampcoffee.com. UNJ10 is the promo code there. And don't forget to pick up a bag of our own UNJ blend and take it with you if you're going up north, going camping, wherever you might go. Pick up some Up North Journal blend.
You got an up north view right now?
I do.
What are we looking at tonight?
We're looking in the streets, which look wet, actually, but sunny, in downtown Newberry, where it's 70 degrees. And if you go over to Cedars and have a great pizza, you can also pick up some Up North Journal coffee there, I bet, too, along with Deer Camp. So,
big shout out to FM 123 up there that carries the show for us.
Absolutely.
Want to give a shout out. We got Tom Genzel, Mark Allen, Nancy Jackson, and Mike Littleton is in the cabin tonight checking out the show already. So
right, and as we start the show off, we're into the first week of August here up in Michigan. If you're in the area of Williams Gun Sight, this Saturday from I'm looking.
You can't read.
Looking.
Saturday afternoon.
There you go. Saturday, August 6th from 10 to 4 p.m. Get over to Williams Gun Sight. They're having Jake's Free Youth Fun Day. It's at Irish Road off I-69. You get free admission, BB gun, shotgun shooting, trout pond, fly tying, birdhouse building, archery shooting, whole bunch of stuff. Get over there. Check out the NWTF Flint River chapter at Williams for their Jake Day this coming Saturday.
All right. Well, we're going to just get right into it here. We're bringing on our guest tonight. We've got Zion Dunaway all the way from Indiana Bait Company, who is actually not in Indiana tonight. I made a mistake. We got Indiana on the graphic, but he is on the road. He is in Kentucky. How's it going tonight, guys?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. A little wet up here. Adam's sitting out there on the UNJ boat dock. You guys flooded out there, Adam?
Yeah, it's a little wet out here, definitely.
Just a little bit. All right. Well, we have had the opportunity, Zion, of having you on. I believe it was back in February or March of this year, and we talked a little bit about your company and what's been going on. But, I've been following on Facebook. Dude, when do you sleep? All I see is you on the road hitting it hard and working the company and having fun fishing. And now you tell me you're down in Kentucky doing something in some timbering. Talk a little bit about what you've been up to lately, man.
Yeah, so the past year is really it's been a lot between school, a lot of stuff with FFA, the bait company, working a forestry job. Just went to Alabama in end of June we fished the national championship and the world finals for the high school division, and everything's just really coming together. Just graduated here in May, and I'm actually leaving to move in up at Purdue here in about 2 weeks. So it's definitely been busy.
So you said you went to the nationals for the high school division. Did you have to qualify for that?
Yeah, so the way it's set up is every state through the high school fishing league has like a state championship. You can qualify for the world finals and national championship. The world finals is open to anybody that's a high school fishing member, but the national championship is the one that you qualify for. And they have open tournament events across the country that you can qualify for by winning those, by winning your state championship, or by being an angler of the year for your division. So me and my partner qualified through the state championship. We fished on Raccoon Lake. It's about 45 minutes or so west of Indianapolis. We went up there for we'd never fished the lake before, so we went up there on Thursday and Friday and pre-fished it and had the best 2 days of fishing that we've ever had, and then carried that over into Saturday. Ended up with a 17 and I think 17.13 pound bag, the big fish to 5 1/4. Every fish those 3 days we caught on our baits. And that was it was awesome because we worked up past 3 years through the high school events and local tournaments and stuff to get to that point. To actually qualify for something like national championship was just really rewarding for all that to come together.
Looking at the high school division, we've watched a lot of the pro stuff here in the last 2 years with the guys from Yamaha and the guys on the walleye circuit. And Adam's talked to us a lot about some of the stuff he does and follows. But on the high school level, the competition there, I know you know your stuff, but when you said you had the best day ever, is a lot of this just a lot of luck? There obviously has to be skill involved, but how much does luck play into this for some of these teams that get involved in this?
The high school division, I'd say it's becoming very competitive. You have to know what you're doing, really know your lakes. Just in the past, I've been fishing high school stuff the past 3 years. The first year in our South division that we fished for the state, we had usually 20 to 30 boats show up for a tournament. This year we were hitting 60 to 80. Wow. And it's now a lot of the kids are spending their time on the water. They're pre-fishing, like for our state championship. I know personally there were several teams that were up there fishing for 2 weekends before, the weekend before that week, just to pre-fish. And it's getting to be so much more competitive that you really got to know what you're doing now. So it's the amount of growth it's getting across the country is huge. They've actually started the National Scouting Report for high school athletics has actually opened up a bass fishing section now where college coaches can go on there and look at scouting reports for the high school fishermen now. So it's really getting to be a big thing.
Wow, that's incredible. So, on the collegiate level, I know they've got teams. There's scholarships for this, right, to go to school?
Yeah. There's several universities now that have scholarship opportunities. At the national championship, I believe there was like $3.2 million worth of scholarships given out to anglers.
Wow. Adam, you should have been in that, man. What happened?
I don't know. I did some baseball in high school, so
Yeah, it sounds like
I
fishing.
guess I
man.
should have done the fishing. Yeah,
Obviously, you're fishing better. You're better than baseball if you're doing this now and getting into as heavy as you are.
yeah. I didn't do much fishing in high school, so kind of tables turned, right?
That's right. You just came onto this here recently, didn't you?
What's that?
The fishing scene. I mean, you kind of got into it hot and heavy here. You know, like you
Yeah,
said.
probably
right out of
like
high
the
school.
last right out of high school, so 2013. So I've been hitting it pretty hard ever since. So.
And if you just would have stuck with it, you never know what could have happened. But then again,
You wouldn't have been here with us tonight.
that's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, thanks. Oh, good.
So
good.
you just missed out at the Nationals there, and then all the meanwhile, you were looking at. Obviously, you're busy. You're down in Kentucky, but from there, doing the bait company all along, that's kept you hip and hopping and all along here, hasn't it?
Yeah, and really, we started that. It's actually here next month will be our official 2 years as an LLC, so that's kind of exciting. But I mean, that past 3 years, pretty much my whole life has been encompassed by the bait company and keeping up with it, and just trying to manage everything kind of around that. But yeah,
And now you're about to go off to Purdue University. Where are you going to be studying?
I'm going to Purdue to major in forestry and then minor in urban forestry.
Urban forestry.
All right.
That's almost what they would call an oxymoron, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
You think urban and forestry. Explain that. I mean, obviously, what I think when you say that, what I think of is, city parks and things of that nature and, boulevards that has trees on them. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, so the urban forestry sector, like a lot of that encompasses, like say that you've got a tree in your front yard that leaks sap a lot and it gets all over your cars and stuff. We can actually inject a chemical into that tree that slows down the sap so that it doesn't get everywhere for you. If you have a certain insect such as emerald ash borer, and you've got a big yard tree that you want to try to save, then there's actually insecticides that you can use on that tree to help prevent that as much as possible. Also just diagnosing common things that trees might have, whether they're dying or not, and then just tell the homeowner, this is what we advise you to do. And then also with that, there's a large sector that has to do with such as right-of-ways of power lines and stuff. That's really a big job opportunity, especially in your major cities. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then just trimming trees, topping trees. The urban forestry has a lot of job openings that people wouldn't necessarily think of.
So it's not just like city parks and things like that. I mean, you're talking, anything from commercial all the way right down to an individual homeowner. I mean, you're covering it from, top to bottom.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's incredible. So, and right now you said you've also been working with, down in Kentucky, you're doing some forestry down there. You're doing some habitat management.
Yeah. So with that, pretty much our schedule, I work for Albert Land Management, and we're licensed in Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. And we cover everything from setting up food plots on a property, native grass plantings, wildlife pollinator plantings, tree plantings. We help with prescribed fires. We mark timber for timber sales, go back and inspect after that harvest has been done. We do timber inventories to work through NRCS and get funding on your properties that might help with the cost of doing TSI or invasive species removal. Pretty much everything that encompasses the wildlife management and the forestry sector, we do a little bit of both of. Most of the summer consists of invasive species management. And then pretty much all winter, we do a lot of TSI work and that kind of stuff. And then the food plots and the plantings and everything are just kind of mixed in.
Wow.
And he's only 18.
Man, I just, dude, I said it last time you were on the show. You really amazed me at what you've got your hands in. I remember, I think you were 15 years old, maybe 14 when you came up to our property for that doe hunt, that managed doe hunt.
Yeah.
And you shot that doe up at our place. And, and you and I, we sat back and talked food plots for a while. Simply just incredible. I mean, the leaps and bounds that you've made with everything is, hats off to you. Incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, we're bumping up against a break here.
Let's bump up. Let's get to our first break, because when we come back, let's jump into what Southern Indiana Baits has to offer as in baits.
All right, we're going to step outside real quick. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
All right, welcome back. I had to catch my breath in the break there, man. I feel like we've been around the United States with this kid already.
Running a marathon.
Right?
I tell you what, it is awesome. And Zion, what we got up on the screen now is you actually now have a website, southernindianabaitco.com, and we got it live. And I'm showing the product line. How many products do you got, and what do you got to offer?
Yeah, so we've got 15 different baits up on the website right now. Anything from your crawls and creatures to your Ned rig style baits for a smaller profile, big worms to fish in the summer, whether on Carolina rig or Texas rig or shaky head, spinner bait trailers, swim baits. We have your fluke style baits. And then we actually just released a 2-inch crappie shad for the panfish. About, I think right around 3 weeks ago, we released it. So we're trying to cover that whole spectrum as far as bass, and then we're going to be adding some panfish baits here in the future. So
yeah, I saw the release on the shad there. That to me, that up here, that I think that would be key, especially for people that's got some kids that want to get them out there. You know, something inexpensive to get them out on the water with, and something they can use over and over again too.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Adam, what's catching your eye on the list?
Yeah, those crappie shad. That's what I was kind of using something similar to that when I was up north. That's what I was catching them on, those plastics. So
yeah,
they work pretty good. So saves you from buying minnows.
Yeah.
Like I said, it saves some money, especially when you got little ones out there. So
right, exactly.
Yep. You know, now you got the crappie shad on there. Danny, click on that real quick. Just bring them up full if you can. You offer them in different color patterns, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the crappie shad, I think I've only got 6 colors on the website right now. As we're making more, I just keep adding more colors to the lineup. But pretty much any color you can think of, we can make, whether it's for a special order request, which we do a lot of custom orders. And then, I mean, on a regular basis, I pour right around 100 colors. I've got a whole recipe book with all of our colors. But yeah, I mean, like if you go to like our crawls or our spinnerbait trailers, I think like in the crawls, I've got 54 color options up right now.
Wow. And that's all stuff that's pre-made, or that stuff when you order it, do you have to make it up?
The way that we've got production now over the past year, we've got a new machine, increased all of our mold counts and everything. So a lot of it we're able to run a good bit of inventory for. As soon as you place that order, it goes out the next day. Some stuff, if we don't have it in inventory, I try to make it a keynote to get it shipped out to you within 5 days. So, and
that goes for like even a special custom color order that somebody puts in?
Yeah, even special color orders, all those I can make within 2 or 3 days, whether I'm home or if not, Xavier makes them. So
you gotta like the color Pond Scum.
Pond Scum, there you go.
Or PB&J.
Yeah,
I like that. Well, what's the minimum order on a custom color?
It depends on the bait. It's whatever comes out as a batch of plastic. Typically, it's 8 to 10 packs.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
Adam, what are you thinking there, man? You're the fishing guy. I'm going to turn you loose here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some killer baits on there for sure. Definitely would like to try some of them for sure.
You got to feed them some cotton candy.
Yeah. Have you thought? Are you ever going to go down like the ice fishing plastic line, or are you just going to stick with like open water? Or?
Like the microplastics and stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, see, that's something that we've kind of looked at. Right now, it's not on the list, but down the line, it definitely could be. Just because down here where we're at, there's not really a market for it. We don't get hard water enough usually, and if we do, it's just for a couple weeks a year. So
right, yeah, for sure.
Sounds a lot like us too. We just don't get enough hard water. We have to go pretty far north a lot of times because we just don't get the cold winters like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, and that's one of the things. Like you said, You said it was funny. You said ice fishing. I was gonna ask about going into like the bigger fish, like the pike, the walleye type baits, whether it be, I can't think of the bait right now. Which one, what was the name of the one we were using?
When? The other night?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
The purple worm that you got out?
Well, there's that, and then there's
there was a wacky rig we were using.
Wacky rig we were using. I can't think of the swimmer I was using.
Oh, paddle tail?
Yeah, paddle tail. Do you have anything like that?
Oh yeah. We've got a paddle tail swim bait. We've got the 3 3/4 inch. Something we're going to be looking at adding in the next year or so is a 2 3/4 inch, and then I've got a lot of guys that are wanting a larger profile too, in that 5 to 6 inch range. So those are stuff that we're going to be looking at adding right now. Just with me going to school and everything, we're kind of maxed out. So hopefully, as we get everything growing, where we can even up our production more, we can add those baits to the lineup. But those paddle tail swim baits, man, I'll tell you what, in like April and May, that's about all I could pour. I had so many orders for those 3 3/4 inch paddle tails. Guys were fishing all the way up in New York and Maine and catching smallmouth, and had guys out west doing it. Everybody around here was starting to throw an Alabama rig, and then a lot of guys down on the coast. We've actually got 2 guys that fish for redfish and sea trout a lot. That, I mean, they tear them up on them all the time.
So there you go. That's what he's got his stuff lined up. Like you said, he's got some future stuff lined up going, possibilities, but he's got college coming up, so that's going to take a little bite out of his little time out of the business. But if he keeps it going, and sounds like they got a good plan so far, I tell you what, being in the plastic side of it sounds like, man, there's enough out there to go after, whether it be hard water, bigger fish, sea fish, ocean fish. Yeah, it's endless.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're on some video right now from the other night. All 3 of us were out on the water here locally, doing a little bit of fishing. Looking at where we were at, Adam, and looking at what he has to offer, what would you recommend that we would have used on that lake versus what we had?
Yeah, after I got on the water, I seen how many weeds were in there, so I instantly thought, I got to do something weedless. So I found a weedless paddle tail, and that was the ticket for me that day. But he's got that some of those worms would be really good, or even that crawfish would be really good out there. So just hook it up weedless. So.
Any specific color you'd probably use going into August here, Zion, that you think would be, if you're going after, like we were on a lake that had just a ton of weeds because there's really no boats on it at all, except for kayak.
Was it, what was the watercolor? Was it pretty clear?
What would you say, Adam?
I wouldn't say crystal clear. I'd say a little murky for sure. I mean, you couldn't see
murky.
So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, if the water's clear, any time in the summer, I use our Morning Dawn color, and either the 6-inch trick worm, the 8-inch Magnum finesse worm, or the 10-inch curly tail. Especially later in the summer, I like using those bigger worms more. If the water's a little bit dirtier, then I really like to throw Bama Bug. That's a key one. Plum Apple works good. And if it's just a little stained, not super muddy or anything, Green Pumpkin Blue is really good. But pretty much most of the time, I'm throwing a Morning Dawn or a Bama Bug color.
Is that any time of the day?
Yeah, that's all day long. My thing, what I really like to do is just drag a big worm. Over the past 2 years, that's 95% of our fish that we've weighed in for tournaments has been on a big worm. And I've got guys that all the time will go to weigh in and they'll make fun of us because we caught them on a worm again. But that's just what works for us really well. That's what we like to do. And I think most of it is figuring out what you're comfortable with and what you have confidence in. Because, I mean, if you really think that that's what you're going to catch them on, then you're going to stick to it, and you're going to find one to bite sometime throughout the day. So
on the circuit, from what you're just saying, most guys using a stick bait or something different other than plastics?
I mean, like the kids that we fish against, there's so much of a variety now in baits on the market, whether it be spinner baits, chatter baits, crank baits, all your different types of jigs. I mean, there's so much out there that, a lot of guys just find their technique that specifically works for them, that fishes type of cover that they like. Like for us, we prefer to fish grass. Sometimes if we're fishing main lake points, we like that timber that comes out off those points. And then a lot of time for us, it's just riprap. We like fishing a lot of riprap and just dragging a worm, or if it's earlier in the spring or starts to get into October or November, a jig with a crawl on it works really good too.
I think we just need to call him and get our baits lined up, Adam, before we go out for the evening. I mean, he could give us that information because I have no clue.
Give him a little FaceTime call.
Yeah, so
right.
Here, take a look at the
box.
Yeah.
He'll probably ask you to dip your phone in the water so you can see how clear it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right. Start giving us a little advice over the phone. So,
Tammy wants to know: do you have anything in pink lemonade plastics?
Pink lemonade's not color that we pour on the regular basis. I've got something similar to it that I pour for our flukes and our paddle tails that our saltwater guys use. The pink lemonade, it's going to be real close to it. Ours is more of a bubble gum on the top rather than a hot pink, but other than that, pretty close.
What's the name of the color?
Take it.
Bubble gum. You got it there?
I'm looking for it.
He's looking for it. We'll pull it. Tammy will pull it up for you as soon as we find it here.
What was that going to be under?
The bubble, I don't have it on the website listed, but the bubble gum's just like that light pink kind of color, and then the bottom's a chartreuse.
I think that's perfect.
Yep.
She loves everything in pink, so.
Yeah. The candy bug looks pretty pink.
Yeah, let me put that up online real quick.
Yeah, that candy bug is a really good color this time of year, fishing deeper water. Something about that real dark purple in that deeper water during the summertime on a big worm catches a lot of fish.
It's a mastery of colors.
Well, that's what everybody always says. It just depends on the color.
Right.
Well, even when we're out there on the big water, when we were out doing the walleye, whatever lure he had, it depended on the color of the day.
Well, that's why he was calling around, and that he was whether it was pink lemonade, but it ended up being whites.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in ice fishing. Same deal.
Color of the day.
Same deal. Yep.
And obviously, it depends on water clarity. And I would assume depth, because the deeper you go, fish are deeper, there's less light, so it's got to be something brighter.
And like at depth, your different colors turn either white or black as it gets deeper.
Okay.
I can't think of it exactly, but I think blue after 14 feet deep, and depends on your water clarity a lot too, but if you have murky water after 14 feet, then your blue just basically disappears and becomes a black.
Okay.
So that's something else to think about. If you're really fishing really deep and it's dirty water, your color is not going to matter a whole lot, and sometimes it's best to use the straight black.
Okay.
So with that being said, what are the fish after? Are they after the motion? Are they after the color? What are they thinking when they see that bait at 14 feet deep or whatever depth it might be coming through? What are they thinking?
A lot of the times, whenever you're fishing that deep, you're trying to find those underwater structures, whether it be a hump or if you're fishing something like a river system, like your lakes down south, like Pickwick, Gunnersville, Kentucky Lake, all those that have current. What they're doing is they're setting up on those ambush points where that bait's coming past them. That natural forage is basically being pushed by the current. Another big thing down south is shell beds, which that's a hard bottom surface that all of your, what are they called? It's all your planktons and stuff like that. They're set up on that hard bottom surface, and all that zooplankton and all those microorganisms bring all your bait fish. Those bait fish bring your predators. So it's more of just mimicking that natural forage, and it depends on what part of the country you're in, what time of the year it is, and your color plays into that too. So it's a lot of just knowing that body of water.
And Tammy even says the barometric pressure, which we've learned as well, pushes the fish either deeper or higher in the water column as well, and temperature. So
with what you had going on down at Nationals, did you run into a situation where you fished one day and it 180 changed to the next day?
Oh man, that tournament threw us for a loop. That was, for one, we've fished Chickamauga, which is on the Tennessee River chain. We fished it twice before, but both those times were early spring, so that shallow bite and fishing those pockets of more of your grass and stuff that we normally do back home was, worked pretty decent. Well, when we went down to Pickwick, it was, end of June. So on those bigger lakes like that, your fish move out deep for the summer because that's where your current flow is. It's bringing all the bait, your cooler water, pretty much everything pushes those fish deeper. So when we went down there, we tried fishing the shallow cover that we're used to, and just it wasn't working out. So we ran up real close to the dam, and first cast we had a big football jig with a crawl trailer and caught a 4.5 pounder. And then we went up about 100 yards, and I started throwing a real deep diving crankbait. It was running 16 to 18 foot deep, and I caught a 5.5, and there's a whole school of fish with them, and every fish in that school was over 5 pounds. So we did that, and we were like, okay, well, this is a pattern that we need to be on come tournament day. And then our second day of practice, we fished the opposite side of that bank, and we had a limit of 3 fish for right at 10 pounds in the first 2 hours. So we really thought that the pattern that we had was a winning pattern. And then come tournament day, we couldn't catch a fish on those spots. So we completely scrapped what we'd been doing and just went and fished riprap like we do back home. And what it was it went real shallow and then dropped off to the main river channel. So those fish that were down that main channel would come up to that riprap and feed on any bait that was right there. And that's how I actually ended up catching a keeper. And then I caught that fish that went for 6 pounds and 14 ounces. So, that was my biggest fish I've ever caught on public water.
Man.
And, I mean, it was the stuff that we were fishing the first 2 days that we really thought was a winning pattern completely went away. And a lot of that has to do with the current, because on those lakes, it's all they pull current through those they've got those dams where the barges come in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So when they start pulling that current, that's when all your fish sit up deep, because that's where all that bait's pulling down that main channel. And the first 2 days of practice, they weren't pulling that much current. And then when we're actually fishing the tournament, they picked it up. So
stinking barges,
and that current bite, yeah, no kidding. That current bite can just turn on in an instant, and you can catch a limit of fish in 15 minutes. And you might have fished those same fish for 5 hours, and they just weren't fired up and ready to bite.
So what were they were running the barges through like a lock system, raising and lowering in the water?
Yeah.
So when they were filling it up or running downstream, then that's when it was pulling the current, when they were letting those things in and dumping that water.
Well, they've got it's all power generated. So at certain times of the day, whenever that area of the country needs more power, they pick up that the generators in the dam system. So typically between it depends on the week too. Some weeks they pull more current between 10 and 2. Some days they don't start really pulling current until 2 to 4. But they've got the charts that you can go on the TVA website and look at each levee and see when they're going to be pulling how much current throughout the day. So.
Wow.
The temperature in the south and the energy use now dictates
when you go fishing.
Especially
if you're tournament fishing.
You know, I mean, it makes complete sense, but you know what? I never would have thought of that.
I never would have thought of it. The only reason it makes sense is because I was watching, I think it was last year, I was watching the Bassmasters Elite, and that's what they were doing.
They were on Gunnersville?
I forget what they were at, but they were doing that. They were by the damn thing, and they were letting the water through, and then they'd zip up in there and start fishing like mad. And
that's crazy.
I know, right?
Wow.
Yeah. But I tell you what, we're coming up onto our second break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Southern Indiana Bait Company.
All right, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back, third segment of the show.
And if you're on Facebook, obviously watching us live, go on over to Southern Indiana Bait Company, their web page over there, or their Facebook page over there, and you can check out, they got pictures of fish that they've caught, they've got pictures of their products, customers, their products that they got, and you can kind of keep up to date with what they got going on, and check them out over there at Facebook, give them a like over there. If not, remember, go over to their actual web page, SouthernIndianaBaitCo.com. But yeah, as we were talking in the break, folks, that's another point we want to make. You got to watch us either on the live feed or catch us on YouTube, because what you don't hear in between the breaks, you kind of miss out.
Yeah. Tammy brings up a good point. We've been talking about Saginaw River, St. Clair River, same way with the heavy current.
The St. Clair River has got a current
pull
that is amazing. You're using 1 to 2 ounces of lead just to get that thing down to the floor. And I've seen people up by the Blue Water Bridge jump in. And then they come up about 100 yards down.
I know when Nancy and I were down there at Algonac State Park, they're on the river.
Yep.
You're in the kayak, and we paddled upstream, but it was a chore to paddle, against the current.
Yep.
It was tough.
Exactly. So I tell you, should get Zion up here.
Yeah.
He's gonna be busy though.
Yeah, he's a little bit busy.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what? We get him up here. Maybe Christmas break, get you up here, and we'll head north and take him, put you on the ice. You ever done any ice fishing?
I have not.
Okay,
we'll bring him up. We'll build a fire on the ice.
Everybody from Indiana.
Yep.
Mark's never ice fished.
Yep.
Zion's never ice fished. Get his brother up here.
We'll build a nice fire on the ice.
Yep, and we'll give him some Crocs to walk.
There you go.
Yeah, I know the spots to go.
There you go. Is that something we could get you to do if you had time?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember we brought some boys up from Kentucky and Alabama, and they'd never been on the ice before, and it really freaked them out. Especially, like I said, people building a bonfire on the ice, it kind of throws them. They're like, "What?" It's like,
yeah.
Wait till you see a car on the ice. That'll really throw you off, too.
Or when we were up on Houghton, the plane landing on the ice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, really?
All kinds of good stuff.
But when you're on 28 inches of ice, you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and you got to put an extension on the auger to get through the ice.
Right.
So, all right. So, where do we go from here? What do you guys want to talk about?
What you got, Adam?
So how did you actually learn how to make your baits? Did you just teach yourself, or did someone actually teach you how?
Yeah, so that I'll just start from the very beginning. What happened was our high school started the fishing team, and my brother had actually started airbrushing hard baits and stuff. So he was kind of doing that as a hobby, and I was like, man, it'd be cool to make my own baits too. So started watching YouTube and just watched for guys who were doing it. Probably did that for 3 or 4 months, just watched videos and kind of learned the basics I would need. And I was 15, so I bought $200 worth of stuff, just a couple of your single cavity molds. Probably started out with 5 colorants, 5 or 6 different kinds of glitter, and a really small injector. And I bought a gallon of plastisol and just started kind of doing it, trial and error, figuring stuff out. And then kind of when COVID first started, I thought it'd be cool to start selling them. So I made an Instagram page, just started posting some pictures. And to be honest with you, they didn't look very good at the time. So I don't know how people ever wanted to buy them, but it just kind of started picking up and had more guys interested. And kind of that summer after that, I told Xavier, I was like, hey, this is something we might be able to turn into a business. So me and him went in 50-50 on it and just kind of upgraded a little bit here and there and really started getting really good at it. All of our colors started looking really good. We upgraded our molds to higher quality. And then in September of 2020, I actually got an LLC for it. And then coming into that fall and winter, the teacher that we had that actually started the bass fishing team at the school was like, hey, there's this entrepreneurship competition that you guys should enter. And it was only high schoolers. And, he was like, you need to come over to the class one day and I'll show you some stuff about it. So I went over there one day after school and he told me about it. I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool, but I don't know. And he said, well, I've already signed you up, so you're doing it. And I was like, okay, great. And from there, we entered that competition in January. We did your first thing was just do a 2-minute video on your company. And so I did that and really didn't expect anything to happen out of it. And they were like, hey, you guys have something, so you're going to go to the regional competition. And we were like, oh, okay, great. So at the regional, we had to put together a 5-minute business pitch pretty much, write a business summary. What else was there? I had to write the business summary, do a business chart layout with your problem that you had while you started the company, the solutions, your data that you had to support it, the markets that you had, kind of a whole business breakdown. So we did that, and we actually won the regional. And so from that, we got $2,000 to invest in the company, which was awesome. And then we went to the state competition, and this was out of like 800 and something teams throughout the state of Indiana that entered. And lo and behold, we went through and we actually won the entire competition, which gave us $20,000 more for funding of the company. We got scholarships and stuff through it. So with that money, we started buying all of our stuff in bulk, upgraded our molds even more, bought a shooting star machine, which keeps all of our plastic heated, keeps it at a constant temp, stirred and everything. We pull with the injector straight out of the pots to inject in the molds, sped up the whole process. And that's kind of got us to where we are today. It's kind of funny to think I started out with, 2 or 3 molds in 5 colors and a gallon of plastic, and now I'm ordering plastic by the 55-gallon drum. Yeah. So, it's crazy, the whole journey, and it all just started because we had a high school fishing team.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, man. Definitely hats off to you for doing that. That's pretty sweet.
Thank you.
And doing something that you love, it starts out as, something to do. We all learn to fish or hunt or whatever. It's a passion, and all of a sudden you've got a business, and now kind of like what you did on the hunting side. Now you're into the forestry part of it,
Yeah, really both careers I've got through the bait company. I'm doing what I love to do, get to go out and fish. Anymore to go out and fish for me is kind of like work because I'm still doing the marketing portion of it. I'm always meeting guys at the lake at tournaments and stuff. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm doing wildlife management or forestry work. And really, I get to come out here and do what I really enjoy, which is awesome.
Do you still have all your stuff at home working out of the house?
Yeah, so pretty much the whole garage is now taken over. The kitchen table probably 70% of the time. The living room is full of totes for inventory. The computer room is now my office. So, yeah.
So you kicked your parents out of the house.
A little bit.
Do you ever get tired of doing this? Did it ever get overwhelming? Or you say, man, I wish I just had some time to, do what I want to do? Or is this really what you want to do? Are you still having fun at it?
Yeah. I still enjoy it. There's definitely times where, especially with school, I, get home from school and immediately do my homework for an hour or two. Now I go out and make baits till midnight, 2 a.m, go to bed. And it's tiring, but I can't say that I've really, I've gotten to where I don't want to do it. Always for me, I've looked forward to keep growing the company and just seeing how far we can take it. So
that's awesome.
I know, right?
When you can do that, it's just, that's what everybody dreams of doing a job, no matter how hard it is, that you'd really love to do, and you just want to keep pushing.
It shows the passion that he has for it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and being so young, he's got a good handle on it for sure. So,
well, I do believe, looking back, we talked earlier, mom and dad keep their feet on the ground and help in that aspect as well. But obviously, Zion and his brother Xavier are the ones that are actually physically doing it now. And it sounds like when you're done with school, you're probably going to get kicked out of the house to get your own building.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go rent a place or build your own,
Yeah.
So
Right.
how is this going to work when you're in college? You're going to be away. You're going to be at Purdue. Is your brother going to be running the company back there?
Yeah, so he's going to be a junior this year in school. So he's going to still do all the production stuff. And then I'm going to come home on weekends and help pick up slack if I need to, or if he gets behind any. And I really think between the production that we have now, the current inventory that we have in stock already, and me being able to come home on breaks and stuff, that we'll be able to keep everything running just fine.
Okay.
So it's good. It's a good plan. Obviously, you're planning for your college days, and eventually in 2 years when he moves off to college. How far are you away from Purdue?
It's about 2.5 to 3 hour drive.
Oh,
so,
okay.
A little bit of a jaunt.
Yep, further than I thought.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, let's take our next break. We come back, we'll continue the conversation. I want to get into his habitat management a little bit, because we really haven't talked a whole lot about the food plot and stuff like that.
And Adam's itching because his food plot looks like it's doing really good.
Yeah, so we'll come back in just a minute and we'll talk about that. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. We know you're investing your time a lot into the outdoors and everything. And I mentioned briefly, Zion, that you were up at our place here in Michigan that December back, I think, 3-4 years ago. And I remember you and I sitting out there, and you kept talking about timbering, you kept talking about food plots, and you had, I think it was at your grandma's house that you were working up a food plot. And I knew right then that, like, this kid's got a passion for the outdoors. His head's in the right spot. Talking with you, even off camera or online, it's, the passion you have for this is just simply incredible, number one. But, what drove you, you're heavily invested in the fishing side, but you've really got a passion for the outdoors and the timbering and the habitat management and food plots. Where did that come from?
So that kind of, growing up, I was always outdoors, kind of running around on the 40 acres that my grandparents have, just always in the creek playing whatever it was. And then when I was 10, my dad had kind of got out of hunting for a few years. And like growing up, he never really squirrel hunted here and there. But when I was 10, he bought me a 44 single shot rifle and told me that we were going to go deer hunting. So we went that year at my grandparents' house, and I was able to shoot 2 does that year. And from then I was hooked on it, really.
Okay.
And just going through that, we always hunted during gun season. And then just started watching all these videos, whether it be on TV or YouTube or whatever, these guys hunting, and more of the food plot habitat management started coming up. And that part of it just seemed cool to me to, have a piece of ground that you actually get to work on and make those improvements and see how the wildlife react to it. So I think I was probably 13 or 14 when I planted my first food plot. And I just took the tractor out. I tilled up a section that we had back in the field and threw down just a mix I bought at Walmart and put lime and fertilizer on it. And it came up pretty good. And I was just like, well, this is pretty awesome. And then that hunting season, actually seeing the deer come into it, eat, got to actually watch them. From then, kind of that wildlife management portion really got instilled into me. And then really just started reading all these books about TSI, doing those, just making bedding, all that stuff. And I just started doing it and seeing the results for it. And that's what really drives me, is just getting out there, doing something, seeing the deer interact, seeing, turkey poults or, seeing quail. And now it's to the point where I've done a timber harvest on the property to increase the bedding. I really selected to keep a lot of oaks, specifically white oaks, because we've got a lot of black oaks on the property, but not very many white oaks. So I started doing all that. I built a lake with the money that I got off the timber harvest. So put in 1.5 to 2 acre. I call it a lake. A lot of people consider it a pond, but to me, it's my lake.
There you go.
So did that, just somewhere to fish and enjoy getting out on the kayak and stuff. Now I've got a grass planting that I've done. It's right at 3 acres. So I've been mowing that on 3-year cycles, and I've seen a tremendous amount of quail now compared to what we were seeing. I've done a lot of TSI work throughout the woods and stuff along with it, create some bedding, and then just all that kind of encompassed. So
I tell you what, as you were talking, I was kind of going over your Facebook page. I think what you said kind of shows where your drive comes from. It's seeing your work pay off. Like you said with the deer hunting, you planted, you saw it grow, you saw the deer eat. Now taking it, you created these baits. All of a sudden people wanted to use them. Now people are sending you pictures of them using your baits, catching all these different kind of fishes. Am I right when I say that? Because it looks like you can see your reward for what you've put into it.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. I mean, for me, yeah, I can go hunt somewhere that's got a 180-inch deer, but I'd rather be at my grandparents' property and shoot a 130-inch or 140-inch deer. And just kind of that connection to it, really showing how much my work has paid off. That's especially what keeps me going in the fishing side is, I'm 90% of the fish that I catch are all in baits that I made right there in my garage. And like you said, just getting those pictures sent in where people send me something, say, hey, this is awesome. I caught my biggest fish ever on these baits, or seeing, getting these pictures of all these little kids with the fish they caught. That part of it's really what drives me.
When you put all the work into it and you take a deer off or any game animal off of that property, it tastes a little bit better on the table than the ones that, maybe whether it be public land or hunting where somebody else has done the work. So I can relate to that, I think back to at the same time when you were up at our place, and I remember you talking about, your grandma's and I think it was your grandma's place or your grandpa's place, your grandparents, and you were going to do some timber harvest. And I thought, what grandparent is going to turn a grandkid loose and let them timber their property? I mean, I was just amazed at the foresight that you had. You're looking out into the future, and looking to the rewards that you're going to reap, and the work that you put into it. I mean, you just a go-getter. I can't say enough about that. That I wish we had more kids. You're not a kid anymore. You're 18. You're an adult. I wish we had more young adults like that had the drive to get out and work and bust their hump and make something of themselves instead of sitting playing on their games all day looking for a handout. So
I'm going to take.
Well, you say that. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to take it one step a little bit before that. I'm going to give kudos to the teacher that signed him up to make him.
Absolutely.
Instead of saying, oh, I don't want to do it. Okay, no, too late. I signed you up. So yeah, you're doing it. I give him kudos for seeing the foresight probably in you and taking the time to push you to that point of making you do it. Give him what's his name? You remember?
Garrett Ellis.
There you go.
So did you give Mr. Ellis a package of your baits to use?
Oh, yeah, he gets from us quite often. So.
There you go.
That's good stuff.
That is awesome.
Well, what's the future hold for you? I mean, the grand scheme of things. Let's look 5 years from now. Because you're starting college now. So 4 years you're out of college. You got your first job. Where's Zion going to be 5 years from now?
I think I'm going to still be down here in southern Indiana. To me, that's just kind of my home ground. It's got a little bit of everything I like to do, whether it be the fishing, the hunting, family and friends, and hopefully take that forestry degree and continue working with Albert Land Management, because doing what we do kind of encompasses my whole idea of wildlife management and forestry and what I really like to do. And then alongside that, continue to run the bait company and just be able to turn my passion for hunting and fishing into two careers that I can continue to do.
Do they have a website?
Yeah, it's Albert Land Management.
Call that up, Danny. I want to see what they've got to offer there as far as services and things. Let's give them a shout out, especially since they're putting you to good work here. So you using their name. So let's give them some kudos here. So are you going to be running the company in 5 years? You think possibly, or running a crew?
Probably running a crew. Next summer, my job kind of this year at Purdue is to find a couple of interns to come work with us next summer and maybe run my own crew next year. So,
with all that going on and everything going on with the bait company, are you and your brother looking at possibly hiring some friends part-time to help you out there with the bait company?
Yeah, it's something that we're probably going to have to do just to help keep up with packaging and everything. We'll just have to see how it goes, really, and I mean, really, our sales are jumping more and more, really, every month. So as we grow, we probably have to hire some people part-time or maybe somebody full-time in the future.
There you go.
Does he got a website?
Yeah, what was the website again for the land management?
Albert Land Management.
Albert Land Management.
Yep, there you go. He's still digging over here. There you go. Pull that up there full. Let's put that up there. Give them a quick shout out here. Now, where are they? What you told us before, but what states do they cover again?
We're licensed for Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Okay, so if I had a piece of property, let's say it's 300 acres, 400 acres, and I say, okay, I got this new property I just bought. Is it consulting, or do we come with the plan and you implement it? How does that all work?
It really depends on what you want to do. I know a lot of it, like he can consult for you, kind of write up a management plan. And then if you have a property that, say, you want to do some TSI work on, or you want to get rid of those invasive species, then we can do timber inventory on the property, take that data, and actually submit it to the NRCS, which is Natural Resources Conservation Service, and they'll actually provide funding to complete those projects.
We're in one of those now in our place.
So.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing at ours. We're getting rid of tag altar, and we've got a grant for that.
Yep. So, and really, I mean, our focuses are recreation, wildlife, or timber. So depending on what you want out of the property, whether you want to encompass all that or you want to focus on wildlife, then we can write up a management plan that'll say if you want it to be a really good deer property, that's what we can write a management plan for. Or if you want it to be an investment for timber in the future. But yeah.
Okay. Are you seeing a lot of people or more people now here in the last, well, I don't know, how long have you been doing this? 3 or 4 years now with this company? 2 years? How long have you been involved with it?
This would be my second season working with them.
Okay. I'm just wondering out loud if we're seeing more people leaning towards that timber management. Because I know up here in Michigan, it's really hard to get private landowners to cut timber. Danny's had the same experience up north in the Upper Peninsula where he's at, talking with people about it. It's people just, they don't have the foresight to look down the road 10, 20, 30, 40 years to see what it could really do to the land and the value that's in the timber before they lose it.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with public opinion and really what is pushed on the news and the media. So much of it's pushed that, cutting trees is bad. And I think the best thing is public education on it and just showing those landowners, whether it be for timber or wildlife, how much of an impact it can have to do, whether it be a small-scale harvest, doing regeneration openings, creek bedding. I think the best thing is to have a property that you've done management on and be able to show somebody this is what it looks like, 10 years down the road or however. But I think the biggest thing is just showing that and having them see it in person.
Right along with that, and you had mentioned it earlier, prescribed fire, that's another one. I've talked to a lot of people in the industry I work in the media, and people, they're talking about the California wildfires. They're so bad out there. Can't believe all this, yada, yada, yada. And there's many different opinions about what's causing this and mudslides afterwards. And I said, they don't manage their lands out there. There's so much dead fuel load on the ground. I said, when there is a spark, it explodes because there's so much fuel load on the ground. And northern Michigan's the same way because there's so many people with private land hanging on to those old growth trees. I'm not saying there's not a place for old growth, but if select cutting, like you said, opening up, getting that sunlight to the ground, opening up new stands and things like that, I think it's so important to educate that. And I really hope that people of your age group can start to understand that. And I hope you get to spread the word on that. I think it's important.
Well, and I mean, a lot of the thing is old growth, 200, 250 years ago was completely different from what it is now. I mean, everything that we've done over the past 2 or 3 centuries has completely reshaped the forest. And we can't think of how it was back then because those, a tornado, a hurricane, a wildfire, whatever it was, would reset that forest. And now so much of it has been to prevent those natural wildfires and stuff. So like you said, now there's so much fuel sitting there from where we prevented it for decades that everything just goes up.
Exactly.
But well, we're coming here to the end of the show. Adam, do you got anything you want to ask Zion before we let him take, I think, a rest for the rest of the evening?
I think Mike stole my last question there. Future plans for him.
Well, he's got a bunch of them, and I'm sure we're going to be in touch with him.
Yeah.
And we're going to...
Sounds pretty exciting.
Well, there is one question here from one of our listeners. Tom Gensel asks, is there any spare time in the day for you at all?
Not really. Even like if I was in school, if I wasn't sitting there doing work, I was returning emails in classes or getting orders ready, sending tracking numbers. I was always doing something.
Did your teachers know that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, there's a couple of nights that I would have so many orders that I would email a teacher and I'd tell them, hey, I'm not going to have this assignment done by tomorrow. And, that was lucky enough. We had teachers that understood and supported us that we could get with it. We could get away with it a few times to put off an assignment a day or so if we needed to. But
You know what?
For me, it's pretty much all day, every day.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, where you're located, how far are you from Bloomington?
About an hour.
Okay, so you're down in the southern part of Indiana, obviously the name, Southern Indiana Bait Company. I'm from the south. Things down there, especially with school, people down there tend to understand things like this, I think, a little more than what it would be if it was a city school, so to speak, a big city school.
Yeah.
There's a little more forgiveness. They see the hard work and what kids are doing to try to better themselves. I think there's a little more leniency there. Or tolerance for things that maybe, hey, I'm going to turn this assignment in late because, I'm out here cranking, trying to keep the company going,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, man, it's been a pleasure having you on. I'm glad that you were able to take an hour out of your busy schedule. We appreciate you doing that because
Absolutely.
You're so doggone busy, So
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in a couple of years, in 5 years, in 10 years, and seeing where you and your brother are at. Because I just think the sky's the limit for you guys, the way you guys go after it. So, tell your brother we said hello. Sorry we missed him. Obviously, you're on the road taking care of business, and that's where we caught you tonight. So, we're going to wrap up the show now. Hang on with us after we're done here. We'll chat with you for just a second, and then we'll let you go. But for everybody who's listening to the podcast portion, make sure you go over to iTunes, give us a review over there. That helps our supporters, and that help us out. So also, if you would, share the show, give us a like, follow, share on social media. Go over to Indiana Bait Company, Southern Indiana Bait Company, and give them a like, follow, share on all their social media as well. And check out their website. Once again, Danny, you got that up there?
SouthernIndianaBaitCo.com. Get over there, check it out. Go check out their catalog of stuff. I'm sure they're going to be adding more as everybody does to their website. They just keep adding. And,
Absolutely.
If you got any ideas, I'm sure he'll be happy to hear them on Facebook, so
give him a shout.
Yep. Give him a shout.
And for everybody who is watching the live stream tonight, make sure that you give us a like, follow, share as well, and do the same for Zion's pages as well. Next week
we have the return of the Omen from PSE.
That's right. They are bringing the Omen back. They brought it back.
So and we're gonna talk with PSE and see what's new about it.
All right. So make sure you tune in next week, same time, 7:30, right here on Facebook next Wednesday night. Adam, hang on with us. We'll talk with you as well right here after the show. But for everybody, we appreciate you tuning in tonight, and we will talk to y'all next week. Y'all take care.
This episode was brought to you by
PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Hacker Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.